Close your eyes. Listen to the cold. Deep beneath the frozen lake, two hands claw at the cracked ice. One belongs to my sister. The other, to my wife. I can only save one.
The rescue team screams. They demand a choice. In that split second of blinding frost, I don't hesitate. I point to the woman who saved my soul. Save Isabella first. Do not look back.
Want to know how we got here? How a sister who swore to protect me left me to drown. It started 10 years ago. It started with a whisper behind a heavy door. Standing outside my sister's room, my heart stopped. Through the crack in the oak door, I heard her best friend propose a transaction. A transaction where the currency was me. He is old enough to marry. How about he marries me?
Waited, praying she would defend me. Instead, her voice cut through the dark like broken glass. Indifferent, cold, and utterly uncaring. Fine. If you want him, he is yours.
In that single breath, my 7 years of secret adoration died. If I was just a toy to be discarded, then I would choose my own owner. I walked straight into the heavy rain.
Isabella opened the door, surprised by the rain on my coat. I looked her in the eyes, my voice devoid of warmth, setting the trap of my own future. I am willing to marry you. Let us set the date. May 20th.
When I returned at dawn, Chloe was waiting. Her eyes flashed with her familiar, suffocating control. She hated that I had left without her permission. I told you to stand here for 2 hours. Where did you go? Were you planning on never coming back?
I didn't look up at her. I didn't flinch. I simply whispered the words that would mark the end of my captivity. My voice was a dead, hollow echo. That is right. I won't be coming back.
The next morning, the parasite arrived. Ryan Harris sat on our sofa, leaning possessively close to Chloe, swiping through a tablet with a smug, triumphant grin. Ethan, come help me pick a watch for the wedding. My eyes are killing me. Ryan's gaze fell to my wrist. He pointed directly to my silver watch, the one Chloe had designed for my 18th birthday, the sole relic of our past. Actually, there is one I love, but I'm afraid someone might not be willing to part with their treasure.
Once, Chloe spent a night in a freezing blizzard searching for this watch. Now, she dismissed it with a wave of her hand, eager to please her new prop. Who? As long as you like it, I'll buy it for you, no matter the cost.
I unclasped the band. The metal was still warm with my body heat. I handed it to Ryan without a single trace of regret. If she didn't care, neither did I. Fine, since you like it, consider it a wedding gift.
Ryan's eyes lit up and he pointed to my collarbone, to the CS tattoo I got years ago. Chloe's eyes darkened like ink as she delivered her command. Didn't I tell you the other day to have that tattoo removed? You haven't done it yet?
Just as she spoke, the specialist arrived. Right there, in the middle of their cozy morning, I lay down. I wanted the final trace of her gone. Let's do it now.
Laser fired. A searing, white-hot agony tore through my skin. A cry rose to my lips, but I choked it down, staring blankly at the ceiling.
The specialist looked at me with pity, remembering when I swore I would never remove it. I forced a hollow, empty smile, letting the blood drip. That was then. This is now. I just don't like it anymore.
For a fraction of a second, the cold mask slipped from Chloe's face. She half stood from the sofa, a sudden, sharp panic in her voice. If it hurts too much, just stop. It would be a shame if it left a scar.
My gaze sharpened. I looked at the specialist and commanded him to continue. Every flash of light was burning away the chains of my youth. Keep going.
Once the tattoo was gone, I walked away. I climbed the stairs alone, never looking back. They thought they had broken me. They didn't know I was finally free. Alone in my room, the phantom heat of the laser still burned my skin. I stared into the mirror at the blank, raw flesh on my collarbone. The physical pain was nothing compared to the quiet death of my hope.
The next afternoon, I met Isabella at a quiet, sunlit cafe. The moment she sat down, her soft gaze locked onto the white bandage on my neck. Her hand reached out, trembling with sudden warmth. Ethan, what happened to your neck? Who did this to you? I didn't answer her, but she didn't press. She just took both of my hands in hers, looking at me with an intensity that promised a shield against the world. For the first time, I felt safe. I will spend my life protecting you, Ethan. With me, you can always just be yourself.
When I returned to the Sterling estate, Ryan was waiting in the second-floor hallway. He smoothed down his expensive silk pajamas, tilting his chin up to mock me in the shadows. Like my pajamas, Ethan? Your sister picked these out for me herself. He covered his mouth with a fake, childish blush, clearly trying to wound my pride. He believed my silence was a sign of a broken heart. Oh, I forgot. You've never even been in a relationship. I shouldn't talk about this with you. Then he raised his wrist, revealing a dark wooden rosary. A cold shiver struck my chest. It was the sacred pilgrimage rosary from St. Jude's Chapel. You see, your sister knelt every 3 steps to the mountain summit just to get this blessed rosary for my safety.
I closed my eyes. The memory flooded back. The year I had a lethal fever for 3 days, and Chloe knelt in a freezing blizzard, climbing the rocky peak to beg the heavens for my life. And now, she had made the exact same pilgrimage for another man. She had repeated the same sacred prayers, giving him the exact same devotion. The final piece of our unique bond was shattered.
I pulled myself from the memory, refusing to give Ryan the satisfaction of seeing me weep. I didn't say a single word. I simply shut the heavy oak door directly in his smug face.
Late that night, my doorknob clicked open. I sat up in the dark as a slender, shadow-veiled figure stumbled toward my bed, pushing me back down onto the sheets. The heavy scent of gardenia and alcohol filled my lungs. Ethan, why are you being so distant? Look at me.
My soul recoiled. I shoved her away with all my strength. She fell to the wooden floor with a soft thud. I stood up and called the housekeeper coldly to drag her back to her own bed. Housekeeper, take her back to her room. She is too drunk.
Next morning, Chloe seemed to remember nothing. At the breakfast table, she was peeling a tangerine for Ryan, meticulously removing every single bit of white pith before placing it in his mouth. How about I only cook for you from now on, Ryan?
Ryan noticed me standing on the stairs. His sweet smile widened as he delivered another petty blow. I didn't look at him, I walked past them directly into the kitchen to prepare my own meal. Ethan, sorry, I only had Chloe make enough for two. You're not upset, are you?
Hadn't cooked for myself in years. In my quiet distraction, the knife slipped repeatedly. Multiple conspicuous cuts opened on my fingers, dripping crimson onto the counter. I felt nothing.
When I returned to the table, Ryan gasped, dramatically pointing at my hands. Chloe glanced up from her phone. Her eyes flicked across my bloody fingers for a second, then dismissed me without a word. Ryan, your birthday is next week. Let's go book the grand venue now.
Chloe spared no expense for Ryan's birthday. She booked the entire Riverside Grand Hotel, transforming the ballroom into a crystalline castle of flowers. I stood in the dark corner, a silent ghost at his feast.
As the party reached its climax and I prepared to slip away, Ryan blocked my path near the grand exits. He stroked the multi-million-dollar diamond ring on his finger, his eyes flashing with raw malice. Ethan, even though Chloe loves me so much, I still want to test just how deep that love goes.
Before I could even process his words, Ryan gave me a sickening grin and threw himself violently backward directly into the 10-foot-tall castle cake. It was a perfect, calculated theater.
Chloe rushed forward, shoving me aside to pull Ryan from the ruins. Ryan weakly clutched her hands, tears flowing beautifully down his face as he played his victim role flawlessly. Chloe, I don't know what I did wrong. Ethan got angry and pushed me into the cake.
I opened my mouth to defend myself, but was met with Chloe's glacial stare. It was a look of absolute disgust, sharp and cold as a winter wind. Ethan Sterling. Have I spoiled you so rotten that you've forgotten your place? Apologize to him now.
My heart was entirely numb. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply pointed to a nearby security camera. But she didn't care. She rushed him to the hospital, leaving me behind as the heavy rain began to fall. There is a camera right there. Check the footage yourself.
When I returned home the next morning, my sanctuary had been destroyed. My bedroom was completely ransacked, clothes torn, drawers smashed. Most importantly, my mother's precious jade pendant was missing.
Ryan appeared in the doorway, a malicious grin stretching across his face. He leaned against the frame, holding his chin up in sheer triumph. Looking for your jade pendant? I saw it, and for fun, I tossed it to a stray dog outside. Hurry, you might still catch it.
Didn't have time to deal with him. I ran. Torrential rain immediately pelted my skin, blinding my vision. I ran through the muddy streets, desperately searching for a yellow stray dog. I spotted the dog near the rushing river, the green pendant in its mouth. I lunged in desperate panic, but the mud gave way. I slipped, falling directly into the roaring, icy current. A kind stranger pulled me from the icy current. Wet, shivering, and covered in mud, I looked down at my hand. The precious jade pendant my mother had left me was completely shattered into pieces. My world went dark.
I pushed open the front door and saw Ryan standing there smiling. All my pinned-up rage exploded. I swung my fist straight into his smug face. The bone cracked under my knuckles. Ryan, what the hell do you want from me?
Chloe walked in, instantly wrapping her arms around a crying Ryan. She didn't look at my bleeding fingers or my shivering, wet clothes. She simply pulled out a gold credit card, tossing it at my feet like trash. Ryan didn't mean it. Find someone to repair it yourself. This card will cover it.
In that single second, we weren't siblings. We weren't family. We were strangers. I was a pitiful beggar who had his treasure broken by her wealthy fiancé, and she was paying me off to make me go away.
Picked up the card. I went upstairs, pulled out a ledger, and calculated every single dollar the Sterling family had ever spent on my food, clothes, and school. I left the list, the card, and packed my bags. I was gone. We are even now. Goodbye, Chloe.
I woke up in a sterile hospital room to the sound of my own shallow breathing. On my phone, Ryan had sent a flurry of photos, Chloe doting on him bedside. No one from my family had even called. How did I end up in this hospital bed? It went back to the class reunion. A week ago, on a massive, glittering cruise ship, the ocean breeze was thick with the scent of wealth and impending doom.
Chloe made her grand entrance on Ryan's arm. He was impeccably dressed in a bespoke suit that shimmered under the lights, his massive diamond ring sparkling on his finger. Look at this ring. Chloe must really love me to buy this entire ship for our reunion.
The classmates who used to look down on Ryan now swarmed him like flies. They whispered that Chloe had rented this entire vessel just because Ryan wanted to feel the ocean breeze. I looked away. I slipped into the quiet, private suites to find Mrs. Davis, our old professor. My hands were perfectly steady as I placed my wedding invitation into her hands. Professor, Isabella and I are getting married next week. We would be honored if you came. Mrs. Davis squeezed my hand warmly, a genuine, joyful smile on her face. Her words were a sudden balm to my shivering chest. Isabella is a wonderful, kind, and thoughtful girl. You two will be very happy together.
As I stepped out, Ryan blocked my path in the narrow corridor. He sneered, stroking his suit jacket to exert his newfound authority over my life. Ethan, after I marry your sister, I'll still need a best man. Beg me, and I might just let you have the honor.
I refused to engage. I pushed past him, walking out onto the dark, windy deck of the cruise ship. Below us, the violent black waves crashed against the massive metal hull. No, thank you.
Suddenly, a powerful shove from behind sent me stumbling backward. As I was about to plunge over the edge of the railing, I instinctively grabbed Ryan's outstretched hand, and we both plummeted into the dark sea. Icy seawater flooded my nose and throat, burning all the way down. Through the dazed, violent currents, I saw a familiar figure dive into the water after us without a moment's hesitation. It was Chloe. I reached out, praying she would grab me. But she swam straight past me to Ryan. She pulled him into her arms and swam toward the life raft without a single backward glance at me. Massive wave dragged me under. The oxygen left my lungs, replaced by the freezing, heavy salt. Everything went black. She had left me to die. I woke up in the hospital, completely alone. But as I turned on my screen, my phone began to vibrate nonstop. Dozens of frantic, desperate messages from Isabella filled my notifications.
Before I could even reply, she called. Her voice came through the speaker, full of raw, trembling panic, shattering the quiet desolation of my hospital room. Ethan. I heard what happened. Which hospital are you in? I wrapped up my work early and just landed. I'm coming to see you right now.
Hearing the undisguised worry in her voice warmed my shivering chest. But I stammered, refusing to let her see me in this weak, broken state. Isabella, you don't have to. I'm being discharged today. Besides, we're getting married soon. It's bad luck for the bride to see the groom right before the ceremony.
There was a long moment of silence on the other end, followed by her soft, solemn whisper. A promise that marked the official end of my cold winter. Ethan, I will spend my life protecting you and making you happy. With me, you can always just be yourself. On the day I was discharged, I returned to the Sterling estate to collect my final documents. But Chloe was standing in the doorway, her expression grim and accusing. Who were you just talking to? What kind of friend makes you smile like that when you get home?
She tried to offer me a patronizing gift, claiming she saved Ryan first because of his hydrophobia. I cut her off coolly. I refused the gift and walked past her. Thank you for the thought, Chloe, but you don't need to apologize. He is your future husband. I am just an adopted brother. It is only natural.
The night before my wedding, I sat in my quiet room and deleted every single photo of Chloe and me from my phone. 5,200 memories. All gone with a single tap.
A sudden knock broke the silence. I opened the door to find Chloe standing there in her silk robe. She looked at my face, flinching at the vast, cold distance in my eyes. Ethan. It's nothing. I just wanted to see if you were asleep yet. Get some rest.
I didn't sleep. I spent the night packing every single gift she had ever given me into a large, heavy wooden box. I carried it out and left it directly outside her closed bedroom door.
The next morning, Chloe, already dressed in her gorgeous, flowing white wedding gown, opened her door, only to freeze at the sight of the heavy box. Her mother's voice hurried her from below. Chloe, hurry. The bridal cars are here. You will be late.
She ran to my door, knocking frantically, sensing a deep, terrifying abyss opening beneath her feet. From inside, my voice was perfectly calm, firm, and final. No, you go on ahead. I have something to take care of. I'll meet you at the venue.
The moment she left, I opened my door. I was dressed in an impeccably tailored white wedding suit. I took one last, cold look at the home I had known for 16 years, and walked out without looking back.
At the grand banquet hall, lights glittered and glasses clinked. But my parents were missing. Ethan's phone went straight to voicemail. A dark, cold dread began to choke Chloe. She grabbed the hotel event manager's arm, her voice on the verge of hysteria. The manager's response hit her like a physical blow. Miss Sterling, today is Mr. Ethan's wedding, too. Your parents are attending his ceremony. It's in the adjacent chapel inside this same hotel. The wedding planner tried to stop her, but Chloe shoved her aside violently. She ran toward the exit, her voice a piercing scream that echoed through the ballroom. Cancel the wedding. Cancel it now.
Meanwhile, inside our own intimate chapel, the soft melody of the wedding march began. The heavy doors swung open. Isabella stood at the end of the aisle, holding white roses, her eyes locked on mine with pure joy.
I looked at Isabella, my heart filled with a profound, quiet warmth. The officiant asked if I would take her as my wife. The words left my lips firm and resolute. I do. I leaned in to kiss her. The heavy chapel doors burst open with a loud bang. Chloe charged forward, screaming my name, her face dark with rage. Isabella stepped in front of me, but Chloe slapped her. I stepped in, delivering a stinging slap straight across Chloe's face. Are you finished, Chloe? Today, I am the one drawing the line.
The force of my slap snapped her head to the side. Chloe stood completely frozen, slowly raising her trembling fingers to wipe a smear of crimson from the corner of her lips. Isabella immediately stepped in front of me, her body acting as a protective shield. Her eyes were sharp, defying the woman who had spent years treating me like a disposable toy. He is my husband now, Chloe. Keep your hands off him.
I gripped the fabric of Isabella's lace dress, my gaze just as cold as Chloe's had once been. The hollow child she used to control was dead. Isn't this exactly what you wanted, Chloe? Pushing me away, forcing me onto dates? Well, you got your wish.
The name she had called me for 16 years now sounded like nails on a chalkboard. She clenched her fists, trying to command the reality she was rapidly losing. Enough. Stop calling me that. Change out of that suit and come home with me right now. Isabella's eyes went cold, delivering the final, crushing blow. The trap we had set at midnight was now officially sprung. Chloe, I forgot to mention. Ethan and I already signed the marriage license. He is my husband. Legally. Chloe reacted instinctively, her voice rising to a frantic, hysterical shriek. She could not comprehend that her little boy was gone forever. Legally married? Then go get a divorce. You cannot do this, Ethan.
Before she could step forward, Mrs. Sterling, who had just arrived, marched up and delivered a stinging slap straight across Chloe's face, stopping her in her tracks. Chloe, have you lost your mind? Ruining your own brother's wedding? Are you insane? Mr. Sterling strode into the chaotic chapel, his powerful voice instantly silencing the screaming crowd. The family prestige was crumbling in public. All of you, home now. Haven't you caused enough of a scene for one day? In the car on the way back, the dam finally broke. All the years of isolation, the cold slights, and the deep, silent wounds came pouring out of me in a silent sob.
Isabella pulled me into a tight, warm hug, kissing my tear-streaked face. Her touch was a solid anchor, reminding me that the nightmare was over. It's not your fault, Ethan. Cry as much as you need. I am here.
That night, the grand estate was brightly lit. Mr. Sterling sat on the leather sofa, his face dark as he demanded Chloe restore the wedding to protect their company stock. You will issue a public statement immediately. Your wedding to Ryan Harris is back on.
Chloe shot to her feet, her voice tight with suppressed panic. She finally confessed the secret she had kept locked away for months. I won't do it. Ryan and I are completely impossible. It was just an arrangement. We never even got a marriage license.
Mrs. Sterling gasped, swaying on her feet as her head throbbed. The grand marriage that had captured all of Los Angeles was nothing but a sham. What did you say? A fake arrangement? Was the license you showed us fake?
Looked up at her, a bitter, sarcastic smile cutting across my face. She had spent months playing a tragic, heroic role to protect her pride. You've been playing a part for so long, Chloe. You actually started to believe it yourself. I stood up, my voice cold as ice. The truth of her scheme was finally laid bare, and it was the ugliest thing I had ever witnessed. You hurt me over and over. You let Ryan destroy my mother's pendant. You left me to drown. And now you expect me to believe it was just an act?
Without another glance at her, I took Isabella's hand and walked out of the grand estate. The castle of my youth was nothing but a pile of ash. Inside her quiet room, Chloe collapsed to her knees. The grand wall she had built around her heart began to crumble, dragging her into an abyss of raw regret. Before she could stop herself, she went straight to the company's official social media and announced that her engagement to Ryan was off. The truth was finally public. News sent Ryan into a state of absolute hysteria. On his way over to confront her, he lost control of his vehicle, crashing violently on the freeway. Ryan woke up in the hospital, and upon learning his dream of wealth was dead, he ran to the roof. He stood precariously on the ledge, threatening to jump. Chloe. You're the one who gave me hope, and you're the one who crushed it. A crowd of emergency responders and reporters gathered below, live streaming every second of his breakdown to the entire world.
Ryan pointed a shaking finger directly at Chloe and me, screaming his poison to the live rolling cameras. Chloe Sterling is in love with her brother, Ethan Sterling. They're disgusting. You're all disgusting.
Before he could say more, a first responder lunged forward, tackling him back onto the roof deck. But the peace was short-lived. Ryan broke free from the paramedics, his eyes completely bloodshot with madness. He pulled out a hidden scalpel knife from his gown sleeve, lunged at Chloe before anyone could react, driving the blade deep into her back. Screams of horror erupted as she collapsed into a pool of crimson. She fell to the hard concrete deck, her mouth moving silently as the sky went dark. Her world was fading to pitch black.
I stood a short distance away, watching the horrific scene unfold. The sister I had loved for 7 years was bleeding out before my eyes. My face went entirely pale. Chloe, no?
Got her to the operating room in time. Now, she lay in the ICU, hooked up to a massive ventilator, her life hanging by a thin, fragile thread. A police officer escorted Isabella and me into the interrogation room. Ryan sat there in heavy shackles, his head bowed, looking utterly ruined.
Seeing it was me, a triumphant, sick smirk spread across Ryan's face. He believed he had destroyed my life with his rooftop broadcast. Ethan Sterling, you are disgusting, falling in love with your sister. Everyone knows your secret now. Look at your precious life fall apart.
Let out a soft, genuine laugh. I looked down at him with nothing but pure pity. The grand chess game he played was already over. I am afraid you are going to be disappointed, Ryan. There is no proof. And we have enough influence to make a few stories vanish.
Isabella took my hand, a radiant, proud smile on her lips. She delivered the final, crushing blow to his shattered mind. And besides, Ryan. I already knew about everything. The person Ethan loves now is me.
I leaned forward, dropping the ultimate truth. Before the wedding, I had my legal records quietly changed back to my biological parents' name. We were never legally related. Officially, the Sterlings are just the guardians of an old friend's orphan. Chloe and I haven't been legal siblings for a long time now. We are strangers.
The color completely drained from Ryan's face. His entire scheme, his grand gamble, had crumbled into nothing. He was going to a cold prison cell for 7 years.
He began to struggle violently against his restraints, screaming his raw, maddened hatred into the empty concrete room as the heavy metal door shut. Why? Why do you always win, Ethan Sterling? Why?
The heavy metal precinct door closed behind me with a resounding thud. I let out a deep, long sigh, feeling the massive weight of the past decade lift from my shoulders. Sat alone by Mrs. Sterling's hospital bed, peeling an apple in my hands. I kept my head down, not daring to meet her eyes, fearing the worst. She let out a soft, gentle chuckle, squeezing my hand with genuine affection. She revealed that the family would have supported us from the start. You are not related by blood, Ethan. If you had figured it out earlier, we would have terminated the adoption on your 18th birthday so you could marry her.
Hearing her words, my eyes began to sting. I had prepared myself for the absolute worst. Instead, she comforted me. The heavy chains of taboo were finally gone. Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
I walked out into the corridor, where Isabella was waiting. I smiled, the corners of my eyes crinkling. We walked out into the setting sun, arm in arm. We didn't see Chloe around the corner, sitting weakly in a wheelchair. Her eyes were filled with a profound, terrifying sadness as she watched us walk away into the light. We rebooked our trip to France and set off on our honeymoon. From the Champs-Élysées to the Eiffel Tower, we walked hand in hand under the sunny skies of Paris. At sunset, we returned to the Morgan family's chateau. We held our second, intimate wedding on the balcony, surrounded by white flowers and our closest family. It was a dream.
We finished the last of our champagne and shared a deep, passionate kiss as the fireworks erupted over the chateau. Isabella was my wife, and my soul was finally home. Isabella, thank you for wanting to marry me.
Because the wedding was being live-streamed globally, Chloe back at the Sterling estate saw the entire thing. She saw me in a wedding suit marrying another woman. She let out a bitter, weeping laugh, which quickly turned into a violent, hacking coughing fit. Ever since the fall through the ice, her health had been failing. Her private nurse rushed to her side, offering water and painkillers. Her legs had developed severe complications. She had a year at most before she would lose the ability to walk entirely.
2 weeks later, my phone buzzed on the balcony in France. It was Chloe. Her voice came through the speaker, weak, trembling, and utterly broken. Ethan. I found out from my mother, we could have been together, we could have gotten married. Why didn't we try?
I didn't flinch. I looked out over the lush French valleys, my voice devoid of any warmth or anger. I was simply delivering a final, absolute sentence. What's the point of regretting it now, Chloe? If you needed everyone else's permission before you were willing to take a single step towards me, then that's not a love I want. I closed my eyes, delivering the words that would haunt her for the rest of her life. The ultimate math of our tragedy. I took 99 steps towards you, and not only did you refuse to take even one, you actively pushed me away. Life does not wait forever, Chloe. Goodbye.
I turned back to see Isabella standing in the doorway, holding a custom-designed ring in her palm. The warmth of her gaze erased any lingering cold from the call.
She gently slipped the custom ring onto my finger, her touch warm and solid. It was a ring she had designed the very day she realized she loved me. Ethan, I'm so happy I married you. Thank you for wanting to be mine.
I looked down at the ring, then pulled her into my arms for a final, gentle kiss. Having her in my life was the luckiest thing that had ever happened to me. I'm the lucky one, Isabella. I have someone who truly loves me now.
Long, freezing winter of my soul was finally over. The spring had arrived, and it was beautiful. We thought France was our sanctuary. We thought the ocean had washed away the blood and the betrayal. But peace is a fragile illusion, easily shattered by the roar of the crowd. They found us. Dozens of flashing cameras and ruthless reporters breached the private gates of the Morgan Chateau, their lenses pointing like loaded guns at my new life. The newspapers across Los Angeles were on fire. The taboo adopted sibling romance was trending globally. The Sterling Group stock was in free fall, losing millions by the second. Under the crushing weight of the corporate scandal and public shame, Mr. Sterling's heart gave out. He collapsed on the marble floor of his office, clutching his chest.
The phone on my nightstand in France screamed in the middle of the night. It was Mrs. Sterling, her voice completely broken with raw, weeping terror. Ethan, your father is in the ICU. The company is going bankrupt. Ryan's lawyers are destroying us. Please, you have to come back. Isabella sat up beside me, her long chestnut hair cascading over her shoulders. She wrapped her arms around my chest, feeling the frantic racing of my heart. Ethan, what's wrong? Is it your family again?
I showed her the news. The paparazzi were not just targeting my family, they were branding Isabella's name across the tabloids, calling her the wife of a predatory brother.
I gripped my fists until my knuckles turned white. If I stayed hidden in France, they would destroy Isabella's reputation to feed their corporate war. I had to end this. They can target me, Isabella, but I will not let them drag your name through the mud. We are going back to Los Angeles.
The moment our feet touched the concrete of LAX, a blinding flash of cameras exploded. Hundreds of microphones were thrust into our faces, the press screaming like rabid beasts. We went straight to the hospital. Inside the private ward, Mr. Sterling lay pale, hooked to various monitors, his powerful, commanding frame reduced to a fragile shell.
Mrs. Sterling stood up from her chair, her eyes bloodshot from crying. She grabbed both of my hands, her fingers trembling with desperate hope. Ethan. Ryan's lawyers are funded by the Han Group. They want to force a hostile takeover. Only your legal name change documents can prove the rumor is a lie.
Before I could answer, I walked down the sterile corridor to the adjacent ICU ward. Chloe was awake, sitting limply in her bed, her eyes staring blankly at the wall. As I stepped inside, she tried to shift her legs to greet me. But nothing moved. Her pale fingers clutched her thighs, her face twisting in sudden, raw panic. Ethan, why can't I feel my legs? Ethan, tell me why I can't move them. The doctor pulled me aside in the quiet corridor, delivering the cold, final physical sentence. The ice water and the blade had done irreversible nerve damage. Chloe lay back down, tears of raw, silent defeat streaming down her face. Her pride, her corporate ambition, her absolute control all reduced to a quiet, cold hospital bed.
When my mother begged her to testify to save our reputation, Chloe simply shook her head in deep, miserable shame. She could not face the cameras. I can't, Mom. I can't face them. Look at me. I am a pathetic, broken monster. Just let me fade away.
Looked at her, my voice unyielding. If she was too weak to stand, then I would stand alone. For the sake of the woman who actually loved me. I will handle the court, Chloe. Keep your head down and stay out of my way. I am ending this once and for all.
Day of the preliminary trial arrived. The Los Angeles federal court was packed with reporters, the atmosphere suffocating, cameras flashing in a continuous, blinding wave.
Ryan Harris sat in the defendant's box. He was wearing an orange prison jumpsuit, but his face held a smug, triumphant grin funded by the Han Group's lawyers. Ethan, look at you in your nice suit. Let's see how long you can keep that mask on when my lawyer speaks.
Suffocating, dead silence fell over the entire courtroom. Isabella's grip on my hand tightened, her pale fingers ice-cold. The press leaned forward, their pens poised to strike. The audio began to play through the high-end courtroom speakers. A crackling, low-static sound filled the room, followed by a voice that sounded exactly like my teenage self. The speaker boomed. It was a digital, fabricated confession. A voice engineered to sound like me, declaring a dark, obsessive love for my sister. Voice from speaker, Chloe. I don't care if they call it taboo. I only want you. I will destroy anyone who gets close to you. A sudden, chaotic murmur exploded through the gallery. The reporters began typing frantically, their eyes flashing with the thrill of a career-making scandal.
I sat perfectly still, my expression entirely calm and unbothered. They thought this cheap, digital trick would break my spirit. They didn't know I expected it.
Ryan leaned over his table, his mouth stretching into a wide, ugly sneer of pure victory. He believed my life was finally over. Look at him, Your Honor. He can't even defend himself. The record speaks for itself.
Isabella stood up beside me, her voice sharp as steel as she addressed the court. She refused to let their lies breathe. Your Honor, this recording is a digital fabrication. My husband has not been in contact with Chloe Sterling for years.
The judge adjusted his glasses, his stern face looking at the metallic drive with deep concern. The shadow of doubt had been successfully planted. In her quiet hospital bed, Chloe watched the live trial broadcast. Her hands shook violently as the lawyer demanded her presence. She was trapped in her own pride. Storm was rising. Outside the courtroom, a massive crowd of reporters blocked the exit, their flashlights blinking like a swarm of locusts.
Stood near the glass doors, looking out at the flashing mob. My face remained entirely calm, my mind calculated, weaving the final, absolute legal countermove. Let them scream, Isabella. When the trial begins next week, I will dismantle their lies on the record. I will show them who owns this court.
In a dark, high-end private suite across town, Ryan's defense lawyer met with the director of our rival conglomerate, the Han Group, drinking expensive champagne. Back at our new home, I stayed up late, compiling a massive ledger of evidence. I had documented every single bribe, every shadow transaction between Ryan and the Han Group. Isabella brought me a cup of warm tea, placing her chin on my shoulder as she looked at the screens. Her quiet vigilance was the fuel to my war.
I shut the laptop with a firm click, locking in the ultimate, crushing countermove. When we stepped into that courtroom next week, we would not just defend ourselves, we would destroy them. I have locked in everything, Isabella. Every bribe, every shell company. Next week, the Han Group's empire will crumble along with Ryan.
Meanwhile, in her quiet, dark hospital room, Chloe stared hollowly out at the city skyline. Her dazed mind was a battleground of pride, shame, and a desperate, late-awakened love. Her private nurse watched her with deep, professional pity. Chloe's lungs were struggling, her body weakened by the severe trauma and constant, heavy pain injections. Day of the full trial arrived. The grand federal courtroom was packed to maximum capacity, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation, camera lights blinking in a continuous wave. Isabella and I walked down the aisle, our steps perfectly synchronized. I was wearing an impeccably tailored navy suit, my hand firmly locked in hers, looking noble and proud.
Ryan Harris watched us from his metal seat, his face completely dazed with malicious anticipation. He believed this afternoon would mark my final, public ruin. Enjoy your little walk, Ethan. Next week, you'll be wearing orange just like me.
Sat down, placing my folders on the polished mahogany table with an unhurried, calm hand. I looked across the room at him, my eyes empty of any fear.
The courtroom speakers crackled with deep, low static. The audience leaned forward, holding their breath as a familiar voice began to play through the room. Voice boomed through the speakers. A fabricated confession, engineered to sound like a younger me, declaring an obsessive love for Chloe. Voice from speaker, I don't care about the family name, Chloe. I only care about you. I will destroy anyone who stands between us. A terrifying, quiet dread began to choke the room. Ryan Harris leaned over his table, his mouth stretching into a wide, triumphant grin of absolute victory. The judge's gavel fell with a booming echo, ordering a full public trial. The media branded Ethan a calculating predator, their headlines dripping with sensationalized lies. Outside our new home in Los Angeles, the siege began. Paparazzi camped in a dense mob, flashing cameras illuminating the dark windows like a constant, chaotic lightning storm.
Inside the darkened living room, Isabella sat beside me, her long wavy chestnut hair falling over my shoulders. She held my hand tightly, her warm hazel eyes defying the madness outside. Let them scream, Ethan. They can write whatever lies they want. I know your heart. I am not going anywhere.
I looked out at the flashing mob through the blinds, my sharp face completely calm. I had compiled every single document. The trap was ready, and I was going to pull the trigger. The trial begins tomorrow, Isabella. They wanted a show. I am going to give them a slaughter.
Day of the final session arrived. The grand federal courtroom was packed to maximum capacity, the atmosphere heavy with anticipation, camera lights blinking like a swarm of locusts. Isabella and I walked down the aisle, our steps perfectly synchronized. I was wearing an impeccably tailored navy suit, my hand firmly locked in hers, looking noble and proud.
Ryan Harris watched us from his metal seat, his face completely dazed with malicious anticipation. He believed this afternoon would mark my final, public ruin. Enjoy your little walk, Ethan. Next week, you'll be wearing orange just like me.
Sat down, placing my folders on the polished mahogany table with an unhurried, calm hand. I looked across the room at him, my eyes empty of any fear.
The courtroom speakers crackled with deep, low static. The audience leaned forward, holding their breath as a familiar voice began to play through the room. Voice boomed through the speakers. A fabricated confession, engineered to sound like a younger me, declaring an obsessive love for Chloe. Voice from speaker, I don't care about the family name, Chloe. I only care about you. I will destroy anyone who stands between us. A terrifying, quiet dread began to choke the room. Ryan Harris leaned over his table, his mouth stretching into a wide, triumphant grin of absolute victory. Outside the courtroom, the storm was rising. Media outlets were already publishing articles branding us as a predatory dynasty, our corporate empire crumbling.
I stood up from my chair, my voice calm but resounding. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a sealed, heavy cream envelope. We don't need a public trial, Your Honor, because we have the official, legal name change document, certified before any of this transpired.
Bailiff handed the document to the judge. The paper crinkled in the absolute silence of the room. It was my birth record, formally restored to my biological parents' name.
I leaned forward, looking directly at the dazed defense lawyer. The legal reality was a cold wall they could not climb. Legally, Chloe Sterling and I have not been related for over a year. There is no taboo. There is no scandal. We are strangers.
As the courtroom erupted in frantic whispers, the heavy double doors at the back burst open with a loud bang. A sudden, cold hush fell over the room. A private nurse pushed a wheelchair slowly down the main aisle. Sitting inside, looking frail but resolved, was Chloe. The crowd gasped in absolute shock. She rolled directly to the witness stand, her thin fingers clenching the chrome handrests. She looked at me for a split second, a silent apology in her dark eyes.
She cleared her throat, her voice weak but steady as it filled the silent courtroom. Her words were a sudden, heavy blow to Ryan's false defense. The voice recording is a digital lie. Ethan never confessed any love to me. I was the one who bought the fake license. I was the one who paid Ryan Harris to play a part. She pointed a trembling, thin finger directly at Ryan Harris, exposing his crimes to the live rolling cameras. Ryan Harris extorted my family. He threatened to release fabricated tapes to destroy Ethan's name unless we paid him millions. He tried to murder me when I called it off.
Ryan's smug, triumphant grin completely collapsed. His jaw went slack, his bloodshot eyes wide with sudden, terrifying realization. His puppet show was over.
I stood up, presenting my folders of evidence to the judge. Every shadow transaction, every bribe between Ryan and the Han Group was now officially part of the record. And here, Your Honor, is the proof of the Han Group's direct involvement in fabricating the recording to force a hostile takeover of the Sterling Group.
Judge's gavel fell with a final, booming crack. The legal sentence was delivered, sealing Ryan Harris's fate inside a cold prison cell for 10 years.
Ryan Harris began to struggle violently against his shackles, screaming his dazed, maddened hatred into the empty concrete corridor as guards dragged him away. You won't get away with this, Ethan. I will destroy you. I will destroy you.
The Sterling name cleared, I turned to my parents. I formally declined the CEO position of the Sterling Group, handing it over to a trusted board member. The Sterling Group is saved, Mom. But my life belongs to Isabella now. I am officially severing all ties to the corporate empire.
Isabella and I left the United States behind us for good. We returned to the quiet, sunny valleys of France, heading back to her family chateau to build our real home. We held our magnificent second wedding on the grand balcony of the chateau. Surrounded by white roses and the warm golden sunset, it was a picture of perfect, quiet happiness.
We shared a deep, passionate kiss as the spectacular fireworks exploded over the chateau. Isabella was my wife, and my freezing winter had finally ended. Isabella, thank you for wanting to be mine.
Because the wedding was being live-streamed globally, Chloe back at the Sterling estate saw the entire thing. She saw me in a wedding suit marrying another woman. She let out a bitter, weeping laugh, which quickly turned into a violent, hacking coughing fit. Ever since the fall through the ice, her health had been failing.
2 weeks later, my phone buzzed on the balcony in France. It was Chloe. Her voice came through the speaker, weak, trembling, and utterly broken. Ethan. I found out from my mother, we could have been together, we could have gotten married. Why didn't we try?
I didn't flinch. I looked out over the lush French valleys, my voice devoid of any warmth or anger. I was simply delivering a final, absolute sentence. What's the point of regretting it now, Chloe? If you needed everyone else's permission before you were willing to take a single step towards me, then that's not a love I want. I closed my eyes, delivering the words that would haunt her for the rest of her life. The ultimate math of our tragedy. I took 99 steps towards you, and not only did you refuse to take even one, you actively pushed me away. Life does not wait forever, Chloe. Goodbye.
I turned back to see Isabella standing in the doorway, holding a custom-designed ring in her palm. The warmth of her gaze erased any lingering cold from the call.
She gently slipped the custom ring onto my finger, her touch warm and solid. It was a ring she had designed the very day she realized she loved me. Ethan, I'm so happy I married you. Thank you for wanting to be mine.
I looked down at the ring, then pulled her into my arms for a final, gentle kiss. Having her in my life was the luckiest thing that had ever happened to me. I'm the lucky one, Isabella. I have someone who truly loves me now.
And across the ocean, in the empty, silent Sterling estate, Chloe sat alone in her wheelchair, watching their wedding stream under the fading twilight. She had paid for her pride with a lifetime of cold silence. Long, freezing winter of my soul was finally over. The spring had arrived, and it was beautiful.